How many of you would accept a job that paid below minimum wage, limited what you could do at work, and made it next to impossible for you to get a promotion because of limitations they set? Those limitations they're going to set are because you're a woman. If you interviewed for this job, would you be offended? Would you report them to the Equal Opportunity Commission? The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission basically says that you cannot exclude someone from promotions, you can't exclude them from jobs because of their race, religion, sex being the key one here, pregnancy, national origin, or age. Do you think there are any jobs out there that can legally discriminate? If you think no, you would be wrong. The United States military can discriminate, and they do, against women. It's called the at-risk rule, and it basically means that women cannot serve in combat. Go to the next slide. The rule excluded in 1988 excludes women from non-combat units or missions if the risk of exposure to direct combat, hostile fire, or capture were equal to or greater than the risk in the units they support. So basically, the war in Afghanistan or any ground war that we've served, women are not allowed anywhere in the line of fire. In 1994, they basically said that they are eligible to be assigned to all positions for which they are qualified, except that women shall be excluded from assignments to units below the brigade level. Basically, to summarize, just saying the same thing: they cannot serve somewhere where there's hostile fire. On the graph here, it just kind of shows the way that the military has progressed. And it wasn't until 1991 where the Congress repealed the ban against women serving aboard combat aircraft. A few years later, they also banned women against serving on combat, or lifted the ban on combat ships. Basically, the Navy until then, women weren't allowed to serve on ships. It wasn't until 2008 that we didn't even have our first woman general, and General E. Dunwoody was the first 4-star general. It's pretty sad that we waited till the year 2008 before a woman could receive one of the higher ranks. This is basically most recent changes with respect to occupations and positions open to the military women. This is from 1994. Basically, it shows the positions and occupations and what's open. And you can see, like here in the Marine Corps, there's lots of occupations, but only about 60% are open. You can go to the next slide. Basically, when we take the oath of office before we begin to serve, as you can see in this picture, we all stand in the same room and take the same oath, but then we're also told now we're limited. So I don't understand why there's limitations set on some and not the others. This is me. I served in the Navy for 4 years, and to help support the war in Afghanistan, because there is a limit of enlistment, and in order to not reinstate the draft, the Navy has helped support the war in Afghanistan by having people volunteer to serve with the ground combat units. When I was in, I volunteered, like I should have done, to serve, and they told me no, and they picked one of my male counterparts. There was really no good reason for it. I out-physically fit most of my male counterparts that were usually about 9 years younger than me, but because I was a female, I was limited from going. This does, at least in the Navy, this does affect us in promotion. We get an evaluation every 6 months. In this box here, it's a write-up of all the things that you've accomplished. If there is in there that you've volunteered for an individual augmentee, obviously you're going to get the higher pay grade, which down here decides what eval you get for the higher pay grade than someone that hasn't. So as a female in the Navy, if someone has served and you haven't, that limits your promotions. There has been a few advances. In the war of Afghanistan, there's a new group called the Lionesses. They're a small group of women from the Army and Marines that do serve with some ground combat troops. Basically, the reason why they're there is because for the Afghanistan culture, men cannot touch or talk to women or they can be killed. So they brought in this group and they do searches and they talk to the local women. They're the only ones that are allowed on there. But when they do go home, they aren't awarded the same awards or accomplishment the men counterparts are, because it is actually against the rules for them to be able to serve in that capacity. Most people say, their rebuttal is, that We cannot stand to see women come home looking like this. But the American people can't stand to see women come home injured or mangled. Next slide. Well, they are coming back that way. This is Tammy Duckworth. She's the Assistant Secretary of Veterans Affairs, and she was a former helicopter pilot and served in the Iraq War. She's injured, and our president probably walks with her, and I don't have a problem looking at this picture, but many people do. People argue that they can't see women come home in coffins. Next slide. While women account for about 2% of all combat deaths, about 15%, 1 in 6 of all active duty troop females, double in the percentage from 1980. Of the 112 killed so far in the Iraq and Afghanistan war, Americans have not reacted any different than the male casualties that have come home. This is according to the New York Times. As you look at this chart here, also from the New York Times, most people do support women in the battlefield. It shows here that 53% are in favor of women serving in combat. This is a short video that I'm going to play that kind of was a little banter back and forth about this issue.
The problem, people who study this often point out that men can't handle the sight of women being mutilated in war. I mean, it seems an obvious point that will destroy morale, watching a woman get her legs blown off, say.
That was a theory. There haven't been that many women in these kinds of wars, so it's what people sort of speculated about. But,
well, it's human. Wait, hold on. It's more than a theory. I mean, any man can tell you it's devastating to watch another man be injured, but it's incapacitating to watch a woman, say, get her face blown off. No man, most men couldn't handle that.
well, then we better keep women off jet planes and out of office buildings, too, eh? Maybe they shouldn't drive cars. The men
I think you're much less likely to
are
get...
handling that. I mean, nobody wants to see that happen to another human being. But the women and the men over there right now are handling it. And if you pull them out of Iraq, you yourself better be ready to go and enlist, because we'll be in them.
We can change our...
Okay. It kind of talks a little bit about some of the things that I covered. The speech, or the show, ends up going on, and she says one thing that kind of got to me a little bit. She's a retired captain, and she says, and they got physically mangled in the Pentagon on September 11th. They got physically mangled in the World Trade Center. You know, let's not privilege women. Women are citizens, and when they volunteer, we ought to be able to let them use their abilities to defend this country, not sequester them and put on an extra burden on men who are over there. The other argument they say is that women are not strong enough. They say, like they said in the video, that women can't carry the 50 to 100 pound packs. As you can see in this picture, the women are carrying the flak, the packs, everything that men wear, and they're doing just fine. The other thing is we have women firefighters. Women firefighters are not held at different standards than their male counterparts. They have to meet the same requirements, the same physical fitness needs, and their gear can weigh up to 75 pounds, and not only that, they go into a 400-degree building. So if they can handle it, why can't we in Iraq or Afghanistan? The other proof I have is how many mothers do you see every day at Walmart with a kid on one shoulder and a cart on another and a bag? Most average toddlers can weigh up to 35 pounds, some a little bit more, and we carry them every day. Women in other countries can carry their kids and their groceries on top of their head, so it kind of mutes the point. The other argument that people have had is that women cannot go to the bathroom in the field because they have to squat to pee. Well, there is a new device out there. There's many different versions, the Go Girl, and they are being used in some Afghanistan areas for women, and it actually enables them to pee standing up. It's the female urination device. So it kind of defeats that argument. It is the year 2010, and you'd think with the first African-American president, the first female general, and the first Hispanic Supreme Court justice that we could allow women to serve in combat.